I'm Ed Kemp, and I collect, among other things, the '03 rifle, and which I've been collecting since the '60s. And right now, these rifles are bringing more than the muskets, the Civil War muskets or carbines. So when I was paying $25 for some of these, instead of $50, it looks like I'm doing a little bit better. Now we can start here with the 1904 Rock Island, which was one of the first models made at Rock Island. It has a Craig sight, a Craig butt plate, and it's only one other one they know this early that exists, and that's in one of the museums. So that is an extremely rare gun. Then we go down here, and at the top we got an extremely low serial number, 533, and that was one in 1905 that was rebuilt 3 other times as it came down. This was a rod bayonet at one time. Then we come down, and this is a 3003, which is the first caliber in the Springfield collections at that time, or the Rock Island. Next we have one that's very interesting, and this gun here was sold in 1915 by the National Rifle Association, and the NRA mark is on the bottom of the trigger guard. This model here was for the Peterson device. It's called a Mark I, which in fact took what we call the Peterson device and it made it a fully automatic weapon, but it came in too late in the First World War to be used. And we go on down here. The Top Gun is an extremely hard one to come by. It was a training rifle, 22 caliber, and it looks exactly like the '03-06, but in fact across the bridge it says 22. So you don't see many of those around. The next one down is a 1922 dated national match with a star gauge that they used in competition. The next one down was the second model really that they made in the 22 caliber for training purposes. This is a model 1922, and they made 3. This is one of the different models. That was the first model. And the next one again is a 1925 star gauge, which again was used in national match competition.
One question, Ed, how do you tell it's a star gauge?
We know it's a star gauge by looking at the end of the barrel, and it has a little star which probably won't show up at the very end of the barrel.
Okay.
Then
this sight is different. Let me just ask you about this sight.
Yeah, but this is just the sight cover.
Oh, okay.
That's just the cover.
Thanks.
Then we get into between the wars, and after World War II we started into more of the national match competition, and they had what they call heavy barrels. And this one here has a Winchester barrel with a Springfield receiver with what they call an A5 sight on it. And there's only 3 that are known with the Winchester barrels.
Is that front sight, the A5 sight you're talking about?
The scope.
Oh, the scope.
Telescope. And the other one that was used in 1924, this was used for international competition, and it had what they call palm rest on it, and the scope is a very rare what they call A4. It came out before the A5, but it was also used, the set trigger was used by the Marine Corps. Now, what is also very, where that came from, but over here is a grenade launcher, which is extremely rare, I understand today. that it was used on the end of the 03s in World War I were throwing grenades, and they have become very, very scarce. Over here we have another heavy barrel. This was a Springfield receiver with a Springfield barrel, and it in fact was used for national match competition also. Then we get down to what you call the NRA Sporter, and in 1932 they were making these also for competition. The next one down is what we call a 1903 Remington 03A1, and Remington made these just for about 2 years before at the beginning of World War II, and then they stopped. A very hard gun to find. And then we get down to the 03 again, A1, and this was national match competition, and it had a star gauge on the end, and there's not many of those around. We move over, and this one is extremely unusual in that it was a so-called Lend-Lease, and on the stock you can see the N with an arrow with a Z. That was a Lend-Lease for the New Zealand. And you go over here, this one had a Sedgley barrel on it, was used by the Marine Corps, and it has the wide sight, and we don't know how many of those were bought, but anyway, this is what the Marine Corps had ordered in World War II. Then we get down here to the A4, 03A4, with the scope on it, which was used as a sniper's weapon during World War II. What is unique about that one is it has a Z serial number in front of the serial number, has a Z in front of the serial number, which it says that they were running duplicate numbers in order to correct the problem. They put a Z in. And this is just another 03A3 dated 1943, which was put out by Smith & Corona, which was of course the typewriter people. The 03, of course, seen service from 1904 to 44, and probably one of the most enduring of the rifles that we have adopted. Okay.
Ed, thank you very much. It's a wonderful display, and you won. What's the award that you won?
Judges Award.
Judges Award. That's a very high award at the Maryland Arms Collectors show here every year.